What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left of me, I have a panel of very scholarly individuals. If everyone wants to just introduce themselves and what they do.
Go ahead. Well, I'll start. I'm Rich Norris, and I'm the newest assistant principal at Mount Pleasant High School.
Hey, I'm Kazim Adadarin. I'm the Dean of Students at Atlantis Charter School in Fall River, Mass.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Harrison Grigsby, also known as John Hope. I'm an artist and founder of Hope Scholars Initiative.
Okay. And now, what I brought these gentlemen here to do today is kind of discuss not only the kids currently in the school system, specifically in New England / Rhode Island, but to also bring awareness to children's mental health, especially young boys, young African American boys, and what we can do as responsible adults and African American males to shine light on not only mental health, but just being a shoulder to cry on and making sure that these young individuals know that it's okay to express their feelings. So I'm going to kind of go one by one here. I just want everyone to kind of dive in with us what mental health means to you and what you have done throughout this journey that we call life to try to improve your mental health.
To me, it means being in like a really healthy space with yourself, not necessarily seeking validation from the rest of the world. And I think my journey has been a lot of practice. Most people don't know this, but I was born in 1987, but 3 years later there was a civil war in my country, so I've had to go through that, live on a refugee camp, and then transition into the United States. So it's been that kind of journey. So just really like finding peace, taking care of myself, and surrounding myself with really good people. So that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, for me, mental health has been a journey. It's something that just recently I dove into and understanding the importance of it. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm well versed, but just knowing recently understanding self-awareness, having emotional intelligence, understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling, or what's the cause of it, and then seeking remedies that are comfortable for you as an individual. So that's why mental health is very, very important. And obviously in my educational journey, working with these students is understanding it's okay to be upset, sad, happy, frustrating, disappointing, ecstatic about the situation, and how do you channel that you could live a normal, successful life. So in just daily conversations of a lot of affirmations in regards to that, especially with minority individuals, that's been my goal in this educational system. I think it goes a long way inside the classroom, outside the classroom. So that's been my mental health journey so far.
Yeah, so for me, it's been interesting because I'm in a place of thriving. Actually, I'm on the other side of surviving and whatnot. I had a colorful background growing up, foster care, living in different situations that I normalized as a youth, and even into my young adulthood. And part of that self-awareness that you expressed so eloquently was realizing the things that I normalized, the things that I thought were sort of just par for the course. And I realized a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my peers did not experience these things, and they're in a space of extreme gratitude, extreme peace, and so forth. And for me, I would always normalize the toxicity, normalize the struggle, and thinking that if there wasn't any struggle, something was wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like coming from, I'm a full on through project baby, all the boxes checked off, like, you know what I mean. And I used to wear that with a badge of honor, and I still do. I value those lived experiences, but now I'm in a space of thriving. Like I have so much alignment in my life, and I'm trying to normalize that. I go to therapy. part of my therapy was trying to process the peace and the absence of chaos, thinking that something was wrong, and it's like, no, like bask in it, like own it, appreciate it, you know what I mean? But I come from a family of dysfunction, and so it was, for the first time, like I didn't really have that because I had set boundaries and things of that nature. So now that I'm in that space of normalizing, thriving, success, know that I'm deserving of love, deserving of abundance in all different capacities. That's kind of where I'm at this big age of mine, you know what I mean?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Definitely happy for you too, man.
Thank you.
I want you guys to take some time and maybe detail one instance. Obviously, don't give any names, but one instance where you were dealing with a child who their mental health was severely fractured, or you could tell that they needed severe work to be done with their mental health.
Oh man, I mean, the man that told me he would knock me out, that's where it started. And it was like, but I also knew, I try to dig into a lot of my young people background, just to kind of see, if a person says that to you, that comes from a place of really, really deep. It could be deep hate. It could be deep. It could be a lot of other things that happen in their life. And the way I took it was more like, right now you need all the love in the world. Because there's a Netflix series. It was on these I forget what it's called now, but it's these guys that getting a second chance to get a D1 scholarship back.
Okay, yeah.
Second chance,
Last chance you.
last chance
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
Right,
There's a basketball version where the coach was like, those who deserve it the least needed the most, something like that. He talked about one of his players, and that's always stuck with me because when I see for that young guy, I was like, man, today. If you were to put his hands on me, even if he had, right, it wouldn't have been called the police. It wouldn't have been none of that. I would have made sure I was safe first, but it would have been like, go calm yourself down because right now you don't need the police. You need love. You need therapy. You need any other type of help. So that always stands out to me. And some days our relationship has been great, and I challenged him to be the leader of one of the groups I was working on in school. I was like, you know what, you're gonna be the leader here. But that just stands out to me, like, man, like he needed something else. He didn't need to be dealing with law enforcement, or he didn't need me to restrain and none of that.
It's funny you bring that up because mine's is something similar that happened like a few months ago, and just like student, great relationship. When I went, the strings I pulled for this kid to be successful and behind the scenes and things of that nature. And the one time, I told this individual no, or something that he didn't want to hear, he flipped out. And then obviously circling back up with the student, understanding like, yo, Mr. A, that's what they call me in school, like, my bad, I didn't mean it. Just like, you're the only male figure in my life. You're the only consistent male figure in my life. And the one time you tell me no, I snap because, you wasn't there. I felt like you wasn't there. You didn't understand. And then seeing my colleagues' reaction of allowing this kid to get in my space, cuss me up and down, make every threat known to kind.
Right.
And in my head, I'm like, man, you don't know where I'm from. You don't know what I could potentially do to you, but I'm going to act cool, calm, and collective. Then you got my colleagues like, well, you should press charges and you should do this and doing that. And I'm just like, where I'm from, we don't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I understand the challenges. And that kid, I was able to relate to him. Like, I never seen my father before. No relationship with my father. Never spoke, no picture, no anything. So I understood the connection he had with me, which I found in other men growing up via my church, of needing that stability. And that's just a stigma in the black community. You know what I mean? So understanding and expressing to my colleagues of why they want to pursue further action is just like, mentally he wasn't there. My no was so significant and impactful to him in that moment, and going against what he thought that I will do and being a consistent ally is why he reacted in that way. Words are words, you know what I mean? Actions is a different thing. So I think that is one that always stands out to me in that regard. And it's a beautiful thing. It's weird. In that moment, I'm like, yeah, let it out. You know what I mean? Like, you need this right now.
Right.
I'll be that, whatever, because you're not really upset with me.
No,
You're
no.
upset with something that's
But
transpiring.
you said projection.
And projection, you know what I mean? That's what's transpiring in that moment. And that happens a lot, you know, especially in the minority community.
But you did a healthy thing, though. You set boundaries. That in itself can be a very healthy thing to set for, especially our young guys. Like, he ain't never heard no before, but he heard it today.
Exactly. And it's tough in our community in regards to we take a lot of pride in owning and taking and being dominant and being machismo. Like, no. In this moment, I know we look alike. I know we listen to the same music. I know we got the same sneakers, but that boundary needs to be set that this no is going to benefit you more than that yes that I could have gave you in that moment. So it goes a long way.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate the grace you gave him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I wish someone had the grace for me.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. Man, so a lot of the work that I do with HSI is with justice involved youth. So these are young people that are already either we say the word is committed, but you know, for many people you might say incarcerated.
Right.
So committed youth, these
I
are
like that committed. I'm with
yeah. You try to be strength based with it. You
I
know what
hear
I'm
you.
saying?
I
So
hear
so it's a lot of committed youth, or they're in so that means they're committed and or getting into step down programs. So you know, programmed housing, residential group homes and things of that nature, right? So that's a lot of the young people that I deal with. So in terms of like mental health, foundationally we know that they've committed a crime or they're in there for whatever reason. So for me, my work or the approach that I have as a teaching artist is mindset shifting, you know, and trying to get them to, they're so ingratiated with toxicity, and they come from an environment where understandably so it's you know, it could be kill or be killed, or they don't really have room for to tap into their moral compass. You know, that survival mode, you know, is super high. So we ain't got the time to, you know what I mean? So for me, it's about space making, trying to figure out you know, allow a space that that encourages vulnerability, that encourages a lot of strength-based dialogue. Like literally, I've had people that feel more comfortable talking about spinning the block, talking about assaulting somebody, but are probably deathly afraid of love. Like deathly afraid of talking about love, talking about the love for their mom or whatever the case may be. That is so foreign. So trying to, not only are they deathly afraid, but it's not encouraged, because it screams weakness. It screams like, yo, you lacking or whatever the case may be. So for me, it's about creating that space where, yo, man, we can talk about love. We could talk about being vulnerable. You know, maybe somebody did backdoor you. Somebody did betray you. What are the lessons learned in this? You know what I'm saying? Because their immediate go-to is, yo, I'm gonna get back. You know what I mean? And we know that's,
I gotta catch
Well,
that lick.
yeah.
that's why you here. You know what I'm saying?
And the frustrating part about just even the mind shifting is understanding like surviving in spaces, like you said. So it's just like, nah, this classroom's different than the hallway. The hallway's different than the courtroom. The courtroom's different than the basketball court or the field. This interview, so on and so forth. And it's just like,
teaching of various kind of code switching that doesn't necessarily
take
make
away
you less dead. Because you talked about like the survival piece, like, because you know, in certain parts of where kids live, you have to present a certain type of demeanor, or you kind of be you know, the guy at the bottom, or you can get hurt, you can get killed, all of that. Like, so that's kind of like when we started the Gentleman's Academy. I had man, it took me back. But that was like our goal, right? It was like, because dudes would come into Gentleman's Academy, don't want to show love, no. But now, you know, they started to realize it's okay to say, yo, I love you, bro. Like it's cool to do that. It's cool to have a space here where I can leave all that other stuff out here. I can be safe here. So
and not to cut you off, just so the audience and Ray can know, Rich, in our educational journey, we worked together, and he created a thing called George Alvarez Gentleman Academy. And at that time, I was a college crusade advisor. He was a working guidance counselor. And his idea was just taking minorities, group of men, teaching them how to do finance, how to tie a tie, how to present yourself in an interview, how to get homework done, things of that nature. So and then he put them in shirts and ties and jackets, and I was like, oh, I got to be down with this. And I was honored to be down with his first 2 graduating classes, where he presented a different forum where minorities can get together, men, and teach them life skills. So when he's saying the gentleman's club, that's what he was talking about, where we need to have these spaces where we're just like, no, you can be your true self. You don't have to code switch or change. And this is why I make sure, when I go to work, I'm showing my tattoos, I'm wearing my earrings, I'm gonna wear a shirt and tie and J's on my feet, because I want them to know that I could still be myself and still get the job done in a professional manner without changing my morals and codes and things of that nature. And I thought Rich did a good job of that. And those are more the type of programs and spaces that we need, similar to yours, which you're creating, to teach these young minority students that there's more than to worry about what another man's saying to you, or if they're calling you BAN or trying to prove yourself in that regard. And this is why I think this conversation is very, very important.
That's crazy. Shout out to Wale too, because I think about it. I have a picture in my office of Wale coming to visit some of the young guys, right?
I have that
and
too.
My man wasn't sure what he was about to do, but Wale told him about the tech field. This kid is now, Tolu is traveling around the world making about 150K right now.
I remember that.
Just off engineering stuff.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, having guys like yourself, having you all like kind of, creating these spaces and providing different opportunities for these young boys, particularly black and brown boys, to see us in a different light.
Absolutely.
Like, we can throw on the suit, but we can still rock the J.
Right.
We can listen to rap, but we can still be in the classrooms teaching. We shouldn't be pigeonholed in a certain thing. We all gotta be thugs and stuck in the projects and just carry that badge for the rest of our lives. Like, that ain't how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
On to what you were saying about survival mode. That's one of the biggest things as a clinical director that I focus on, is removing them from survival mode and them thinking 30 years old, 40 years old. Because a lot of the street stuff, it's like, what I love to do is I say, okay, play it out, right? So play it out to the best of your abilities. So you kill all these people, you sell all these drugs. Where does that end you?
Right.
Like where does that, and like
right.
they're cognizant of like, oh yeah, like probably dead, jail, etc., etc. It's like, okay, so how about if you cut that out, grind at school, do something that you can benefit from or love to do. Where does that end you up? And it's just, even making their scope bigger than just tomorrow is like such a big change in their life.
Challenge.
You're right.
Yeah.
But it's so necessary, because the minute you kind of like talk to them and have them think about a bigger scope, they're like, oh shit, like, yeah, like, why am I doing this? Right. And you can kind of like cut off the everyday routine of what they're doing.
Right. I think you make a lot of great points. It's just a lot of, like I said, I used to work at a group home, so having these conversations is just that immediate satisfaction. The laziness to put that thought process of a 5-10 year plan is just not embedded in us, because I'll speak for myself. I don't want to project or paint a brush, but living check to check. What can I do right now to feed my family or provide or pay this rent? That quick fix of selling, to pay that is more profitable than living check to check. So shifting that mind of just like, that 4-year, that master's program, now I can look back and then speak on, no, this long-term game is actually more beneficial than this quick fix right there. But it is difficult, and I just want to, because I hear what you're saying, but then we got to keep it real. And like, these circumstances that a lot of these individuals that we're speaking on financially can't afford to have that thinking process. So it's like a twofold. I'm not advocating for it, but I do want to give the
No,
the testimony I used to get. You know what I mean? That push back on that. So how do we fix that?
well, I mean, I ain't know too much about music, but I always go up to the Biggie song where he talks about just trying to sell this to put some food on my daughter's plate.
Yep.
And so I see the everyday realities that some of our young guys and girls got to go through. Well, I think part of what I've been really interested in is how do you relieve some of that mental stress that causes some of these young people to go through the things that they do. So for instance, when I speak to some of the kids in my school, I ask them, what do you need today?
Right.
What do you need next week or next month? Like, what is your current reality, right? So then what type of gaps could I put the resources in your life to fill in? You know, you get some people here, I need some food today, so we started a food pantry in our school. So now after school, kids slide up in there, and they free, they go in there and they take what they need and they go and nobody know their business. Or we had like a QR code system where you scan it and you fill out what you need. We have a bag already packed. One of our community specialists already got that bag packed for you. At the end of the day, you just pick up that backpack like it's your actual school backpack and you go home. So ain't nobody got to know that you even went to community plaza. Right. So if there are other economic resources in the neighborhood, right? I mean, how many times you brought sneakers and clothes to the school for me?
Right, yep.
And you know why I say, and I'll see a youngin' around school look like, man, that man could use a kick. So you know what I do? Some of them sneakers, man, Ray brings it, man, get it cleaned up. Ray stuff is always fresh, so I ain't got to do too much cleaning up. But I might mail it to that kid's crib. Hey, you did a good job in school this week. This is just something from the the PBIS community. That's the positive behavior intervention system. Too many acronyms. Yeah. But like so to sort of alleviate the need for you to keep going to do that thing that you gotta do.
Right.
How can we cut some of that out? Because now if I can take some of that stress out you, and I think the other thing that we did at Alvarez, we was present. We was consistently present. So we didn't just say, you can go change your life, and then just let you go do it. Right. I'm telling you, some of my youngest. So the first group of Gentlemen's Academy dudes I had them from 6th grade. This is 2011. I done been to all of their graduation in 2022, 23, and 24. So that's a consistent work with their families as well. I don't believe in working with students without their families. Exactly. Because once you might find out that it ain't just a kid. This might be a whole family situation. This might be years of family situation.
Yeah. So I basically basic needs, right? Right. Basic needs you want to take care of, and I think it brings up a point for me. I think we hear a lot of, especially now in social media, this romanticism of self-care. Right, yo, self-care, and I actually think that we need communal care, right? To especially for those who are very vulnerable, those populations, like the young people that we serve. So we need that wraparound support. You know, they need that wraparound support, and then in addition to that, I think they need to see the value of the other perspective. Right. They need to see the representation of the other perspective. So it's one thing to be like, yo, man, you know, you should do this, you should do this. Well, they need to see a proof of concept, right? Like, okay, what does this actually look like? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that that's super important because a lot of our young people are visual, learners, to a degree. You know what I'm saying? So
they grew up with the phone right in there. Everything's
correct. So for me, it's about providing that a lot of the work that I do is mentorship, is being that being what I'm actually trying to profess and trying to you know what I'm saying? So like I think it's like the communal aspect, basic needs, so to remove that survival instinct, you know what I mean, as much as we can, but also showing proof of concept of the other side, because a lot of them, they're like, all right, bruh, like what's this degree gonna get me? What are you talking about? Because I gotta feed my family, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I really don't have the time nor the space to think about 5 years, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So but there's value. No. What you saying? I'm all for it.
So my only pushback with that is I usually do the whole like prison thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I say like, all right, say if you make however much you're making a week, right? I'll just say $2,000. I'm not saying that, but just to make a number, right? I'll say, okay, if you're locked up for 4 years, what's $2 a week divided by that?
Come on, man.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's
your minimum wage job is actually going to make you more in the long run.
Right.
So
No, that's-
even in that sense, it's
Yeah.
like
No,
I'm still
that's
looking
real
out for
math.
you.
Yeah. Nah, for real. No, I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? But that's the proof that you're showing the yo, bro.
But
This
I
is
think-
the numbers.
I think what Ray does
You know
with
what I'm
that, though, the
saying?
first thing is you talked about mind shift. The first thing is that kid starts to play both scenarios right away.
Right.
You can't take 2 steps, you got to take one first. So automatically you start thinking, okay, I might, what's this dude talking about? Let me think about it. And nobody in their right mind, which I was assuming that most of the kids, they might have, committed some acts that were stupid or whatnot.
Yeah.
But they smarter than we think they are. And they play that out real quick. Oh, shoot. All right. I might not necessarily know how to hack right now, but let me just think about that. Everything we do, if we're going to be successful, starts with a thought.
Well, that's why I feel like a lot of these conversations that we have with the young people, for me, my approach is always, these are seed planting moments. I'm not here or with the expectation that this is going to completely change your life in the next 45 minutes to an hour or whatever. So whenever I engage schools, I come in for a talk or whatever, I let administration know, I let whoever my partner is, my community partner or whatever, I said, look, do not think that this is going, like I'm going to change their life right away, because that process that you're talking about them thinking, like, I would be a fool to think that it's gonna happen in one conversation. You know what I'm saying?
And everyone's at a different point of their life, right? Even
right.
us, right? Like
Right,
there's
right.
years where we'll be susceptible to hearing information, and there's years that we don't. Like,
Come on, man.
Yeah,
And that's the reality of the situation.
Two things I tell kids a lot in school is, look, my job is to see for you now what you can't see for yourself in the years to come. Because you might not be at the right maturity level to understand this.
Yep.
And the other thing I say is, I can't give up on you, because what if somebody would have given up on my 14, 15, 16-year-old self?
Oh my gosh, if you would have met me.
The thing I ain't never really told you about the whole Gentleman's Academy thing was, you brought a different flavor, and we talk about the whole communal, like it can't just be Ray doing it. It has to be a group of people surrounding this kid, right? Or these kids, right? Like what happened at that school was, all right, Zim got a different flavor. He comes from a different experience than I can. So I might spit something at them that they might not receive it, but he might spit the same thing and they might get it. How many times I text you and say, yo, man, come by my school? Because one, I think, and similarly with the basketball chat, the only reason we got the Juanita thing going on 3-4 years now was I looked at a bunch of men who came together. They know each other. I said, man, all these guys bring something valuable for my own mental health, because I pick up things from Ray, I pick up things from Wale, I pick up things from T, Derek, like all these guys we play with, and I go home and say, okay, I learned something from this person, I learned something. And now these guys have become somebody I can rely on. Even when I'm not playing basketball, that chat is there, it's entertaining, but it's also informational. It's all of the things that I need as a man. And I tell my wife sometimes, like, yo, I ain't asking you for too many things, but don't be interrupting my Wednesdays and my Fridays. Even when I don't play, I just go and sit in the gym, or I take my son. My son literally started his whole life. I mean, he was 3 months old, right on the side. And so the communal part is like, yo, we need each other to get to our next level. And these young people need varied perspectives, especially because now I can bring a Wale who's doing the thing this man wants to do. I can bring a Ray, say, yo, here's where you can be. How many kids tell you they want to do music? I was like, do you even know what it takes to do music? I can't tell you that, but let me bring somebody. So like having that sense of, I'm not just telling you because I think it's going to change your life today, but here's what it can do for you.
Absolutely.
And even some gents from the Gentleman's Academy also, because they'll come to my office, yo, Norris, I need money to get this. I'll say, you know what, I'm going to start a business. You're going to get on the truck with me. So first of all, you see I'm not just talking. And then you see where this can take us.
Model behavior.
So that kind of stuff.
And that authenticity of it all, of just the caring. And I think that is what ends up happening, where building the mental health of like, no, I don't care about you in the physical form. I care about your mentality, your mental health, your physical health, your well-being, your making sure you're nourished. These little sentences and pockets of it goes a long way. So it goes a long way with us as adults, like he says, like in the group chat, what up, what boys doing this weekend? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, someone cares about my plans this weekend. So creating those little entities within our own spaces goes a long way. Even those sessions that you have, like, you care. So they want to talk to you and express and have your opinion because they value that time that you're giving them in that moment. I think it goes a long way, and I think that's the stigma we have to continue to lead in. Because I'm not going to lie to you. Growing up, you talked about the emotions you was called emo. You know what I mean? No disrespect to anybody who, you know what I mean? You say, I'm upset right now, you was called a BAN. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, oh, you calling me a B word? We have to fight right now. Like, it was just anything that had to deal with emotions in our community was just deemed a devalue to that individual.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what I'm loving now more accepting, and I think, you know, the schools with the resources, the community with the resources are funding into the mental health aspect of it. Like just at my school I could speak of, we have what we call 3 student adjustment counselors. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we understand that it's not only learning, it's social emotional learning. So if I'm mentally not there, I can't learn.
Right.
Whatever that teacher's presenting to me, I
You're
can't
somewhere else.
learn. I'm somewhere else. My mind is shifting because I'm thinking of a million and one things. So we prioritize that, and I see a lot of value in like, hey, good morning. How you doing today?
Man, I see.
How was your night? Like that goes a
Man,
long
be having
way.
the radio around the school.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But what that does, dog, like when kids walk into my school, right? The first person they see is literally me, because there's only one entrance into my school.
Right.
So now I notice those kids from the other school be coming by my way, and I'll be like, oh, you got some song you want to listen to? Throw on the playlist. But when you start to create that type of space in your school where, you know, kids know, okay, somebody here cared. Like, people, young people particularly, whether or not they had that. I was fortunate to have my grandmother in my life who really showed me that she cared. You know, Pops was working 3 jobs. When I left the refugee camp in Ghana, my mom was there from the time I was 12 to I was 21, so I didn't really have her in my life in that space. But just having, though, I'm fortunate to have had that family life that kind of poured into me like that. But you think about some of the kids that don't have that.
Right.
And in our roles, you know, sometimes it might not be your role, but today I'm about to be your counselor. Today I'm about to be a therapist if I can. Today I'm gonna just listen to you. And then you tell your teachers, yo, before you even start talking about homework, ask that youngin, yo, how was your night, man? Everything good?
That goes a long
You
way.
know, what you need today.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of, because that in itself sets the tone for that kid having a great day, even though they might be struggling. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, we're talking about the humanity, right? Like I feel like a lot of the thing that goes so or underappreciated is humanizing these young people, right? And giving them some level of agency in their own healing. You know what I mean? There's something called youth participatory action research that talks about how it's basically the concept that you know, instead of looking at young people as empty vessels and that have nothing to offer in the classroom, look at them as partners in their scholarship. You know what I'm saying? And so that's been my approach, and obviously you guys' approach. And that doesn't have to look like some type of grandiose thing. It really is like, how are you? You know what I mean? How are you? Because they really might not get that at home. They might not get that, even maybe not verbatim, but even the spirit and the sentiment. Like, they don't get that at home. And so, like, to humanize them is to see them, to value their lived experience, right? Because we live in such a world, and this is coming from someone who has a master's and the educational fortitude and all that stuff, but we live in such a world that has so much emphasis on credentials. You know what I'm saying? That we tend to dismiss the value that these young people and even other community agents, the grandmother, the parents, the people that have so much impact in their lives, that we dismiss them because they don't have the degree and things of that nature. And so humanizing them, valuing their lived experience, creating a space where they can offer that cultural identity, that cultural cachet that they bring with them, is super, super life-changing and paramount. They feel seen. And I just think that, man, we need more of that because yes, they come from yes, they're presenting in these very problematic ways. Yes, that there's a lot of trauma, but let's not dismiss their humanity of who they are and what they have, what abilities they have to contribute to their own growth. You know what I mean? Like I really look at my young people as partners. Obviously, I can guide the discussion, facilitate, and so forth. But you know, like, what do you think?
Right.
How are you feeling?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And have that level of exchange, because if they feel that they can participate in their own healing process, I think it just makes for a much better engagement.
The buy-in.
Yeah, you get the buy-in. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I think one of the biggest, one of the things I enjoy the most about my school is that we have a community sense of decision making. So not too many things happen in our school without our kids having a say so in it.
That's huge.
So it's like we have town halls where we vote on things, where we you know, if you don't agree with what, you know, the principal and I, we bring up some, the kids will be like, hey, thumbs up, you agree with it. We have a good amount. We say, okay, let's talk about this. We go back to small classrooms, right?
Yeah.
We have what we call a student rep group that represents every advisory, and they meet with the principal and they say, this is how, like even we had a cell phone ban. It was with these yonder pouch things, right?
You got that too. We
Yeah,
got that too. Right?
But the
those
crazy
are great.
thing is,
I think those are great.
I think they're great.
Shout out Kevin Hart.
But if we had, if we had just came to and said, this is what's gonna happen,
Right.
but we had the
No,
families.
right,
We did
yeah.
surveys in the summer. Families
Yup.
to say, here is the science to back up why we're saying
Right.
the cell phone shouldn't be in classes. The kids did all of that, and so it was a community sense of creating a safe space for everybody else.
Right.
And so there was a common understanding among the young people in our school.
go.
This is what we do here. This is what we don't do. You know, what's the 360 way?
Now, had you just came up in there with the joints like yo phones
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
then
exactly.
it would have
But guess
been
what?
havoc.
We had an example right next door. The other school right next door
Did that.
came up with the same thing,
Right.
but there was no follow through, no kids' consent.
the
So
rollout.
they treated, and it seemed like, and I don't want to speculate, but it seemed like the young people there weren't included in much of the decision making. And part of their mental health is to feel like I exist, I have an agency,
Yeah.
I can make decisions. You know, I'm not stupid.
For
You know,
my own life.
Yeah, for my
Right.
own life.
Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, think
exactly.
about that.
Your
We're
ownership. You feel more in control.
yeah,
of what
we're trying to make
feel like
decisions that are impacting their life.
Even
and
the
they-
curriculum in our school,
Yeah.
students have an opinion on things that they want to be.
Oh, that's
you
dope.
know,
That's
we
dope.
we talked about, hey, what type of, you know, African American history. This year was the first time in our school we had a standalone African American history class.
That's dope.
Kids enjoy that. We had a financial. So just again, when you look at the whole scope of mental health, is does a human being have agency for themselves?
For themselves, right.
No matter what the circumstances,
Yeah.
do they have a sense of agency?
Yeah.
And together, how can we continuously improve? So that, you know, you talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Right.
You know, if I ain't got my basic needs
These
met,
really-
this you
I'm
can
not
talk.
gonna
You
get
can
to
talk
the-
about your algebra
self-
all you want.
Yeah,
right over
Like,
there.
It's not that I don't think
Yeah,
it's
I need to
important,
eat.
but today I gotta eat.
You know what I'm saying?
You feel me?
Fuck what you talking
So
about.
exactly. So, you know, so then when you know, so it's, I think part of our jobs is as leaders to be able to educate people, right? Teachers particularly. Hey, yo, that kid didn't eat today, so he had to go to the cafeteria to get an extra snack.
Right.
So don't make a big deal as to why he's late. I've literally told my teachers, if a young person is late to class, say, hey, welcome to class. Hey, I'm gonna get you started. You know, go.
Right.
Here are the things you need to do. I'm gonna go back with you. I'm gonna get you started. Now, if there's a consistent pattern where you find it disrespectful, now we have a different conversation. Hey, man, I noticed you've been coming, but I'm not about to shame a young person. Hey, you now that kid ain't about to come back to your class.
Man,
no
he
more.
done checked out.
Then you done.
Put him on blast.
Yeah.
Now he has to be adversarial in that
Yeah,
moment. So
yeah.
it's a lot. Like I said, I think this conversation and I think working at the group home is where I'm like, oh, mental health is real. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, I had to look within and check myself. I was going through things I didn't know I was going through and projecting it on my kids, on my girl, on my mom, anybody in my friend group, the group chats. I'm like, no, because I wasn't happy with myself. So I think that goes a long way with me in my place of job is being authentic. Like, no, I did this. I went through that. I got kicked out of school. I was suspended. I got jumped. You know what I mean? Like, just letting them know that, like, no, what you're going through, a lot of individuals that you look up to went through that as well. So don't look at it as a shame. Don't look at it as you're less than. And I think once we start instilling that, it goes a long way. Now, let me ask you guys this. The difficulty of you and your entity, you and your entity, you and your entity, has that, I don't want to say corrupt, but challenge your own personal mental health, your work field? Am I alone in that?
Like the,
All right,
the
so let
work
me
that we do?
yeah.
not sure
So
I
let me
understand it.
explain it better. I hear so many different stories, and it weighs on me trying to help others, where I use the gym as my mental health room.
Well, because
Should I
you work in the human service field. So you know how people say you can't take it home with you?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You do, because the things you hear on a daily basis,
Right.
it becomes a part of who you are.
Right.
But I think what I've been able to do for myself is understand that, all right, I can't completely turn it off, but what are some other outlets that I can have that'll help me be better off when I go in back there tomorrow? So, you know, playing basketball has been a huge, man, I can't even tell you guys how much I appreciate that setting, because that's been a really good space for me to just, okay, that happened today, let me shoot some hoops. I mean, I think just reading, I've been reading a lot about how to strengthen my mental health. So a lot of personal development books I've been reading to just, okay, how do you continuously build it so that, like I was telling Ray earlier, I know that when I go walk in 5 in the morning, I take that 5 to 6 and I walk and I clear my head. I pray for that, and prayer has been a huge part of my journey. Like, I pray for that kid who's gonna try to spaz out to me today. So when you do, I'm already laughing, because look, little bro, I already planned for you. I knew this was coming.
Right.
So now I'm not taking it personal. I'm not dejected with it. I'm like, man, I knew this moment was coming today, but I'm prepared for it. There's a place on the Pleasant Valley Parkway behind Roger Williams Hospital. There's a little sign that says hump ahead. I religiously park there every morning around 6:30. Every morning around 6:30, 6:33, I park right under there and I say my prayer. Literally just pray, because I'm like, you know what? I pray for myself. I pray for my family, my community, all my friends. I pray for everybody I know, because I'm like, today, no matter what people are going through, you know, let me say a prayer for them. And so that prayer in itself, I'm not the most religious person, but I do understand that prayer in itself has been a huge, saving grace for me, because it prepares me to go and deal with that work. I feel like I'm in my calling. I feel like I've dabbled in different things. I've tried. I never thought I'd end up in education.
Right. Same.
But it brought me back to, so this got to be my calling.
Right.
And I don't feel.
I appreciate that, because that's what I was thinking. I'm just like, I want to be the best version of myself so I can help others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm just like, and you know, it's like, you know, for me, it's the gym and group chats. Like I just, you know what I mean? Like I need that connection with the people who I love and cherish and value their opinion on me and life and things of that nature, where I'm just like, I need this laugh, I need these jokes, I need this roast, I need that link. What's happening, things of that nature. I know you probably have music, right? Like
music
you know
is
what I
my
mean?
outlet, right? Yeah, you know, especially my last project, you know, that was very, it was really, the undertone was fatherhood, you know what I'm saying? But I will say this, man, I've grown to, like I said at the top of the conversation, thriving is where I'm at. And I think a huge part of why I'm in this space is because I've allowed rest and doing nothing to be part of the work. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I work for myself and have different entities, and so that grind culture. You know, gotta get it. You know, I'll sleep till I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. You won't sleep till I'm all those you know, cliches. You know what I mean? I adopted, right? And now I'm on the 4th floor. You know what I'm saying? And when you're on the 4th floor, for me, it's about how can I you know, I'm ease and leisure is part of the ecosystem. And so for me, it's there'll be days, man, I will take a day off. Take a day off. I work out, you know what I mean? But I mean, for the most part, there is a space where I will do nothing. I will find leisure. I'll go out, celebrate myself. I celebrate myself a lot. Like I'll if I have a milestone, or if I do something, I'll take myself out to eat. I'll award myself because part of my core wound was looking for validation, external validation. And now, man, I don't, man, I'm dope, I'm fly, I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm him, like, for real. You know what I'm saying? And I always, and for the past, like I would say about 3 to 4 years, I've been operating increasingly in that mode. But I think a huge part of that was including rest and doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's something I got to do a better job at, because the teachers at my school would say that Rich, you and the janitor and the AD. Usually, so and I'm trying to strike that balance between work and then also being there. I think my happiest moments now is getting my son from daycare.
Come on,
riding the bike around, because the minute we get home, Daddy, he's talking now this way. So now we get on the bike.
That's the win.
So for me, that's dope. And I got trying to do a better job of being a husband now. That's a whole nother responsibility. It's different when she's just your girl, but now she's your wife, and this thing's forever, God willing. Now you got two. I got a daughter now too.
So congrats on that.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you, man. So it's like I really appreciate the whole idea of rest, because I know that's some area in my life I'm not the greatest at, because I part of that was going back to the trauma of being poor.
Right.
I remember.
You ain't trying to go back to that. That was my thing too.
My cousin went to Mount Pleasant. I was at Feinstein High School. I remember he wearing one pair of shorts to Mount on a Tuesday. I wore it to the second. It was like, we ain't had the money. Going to Blanco buying 5 T-shirts, and you got right. You got the big T-shirts.
The Gilded.
Dog, you gotta buy 5 different colors, because so you had a shirt for everything. But I said Blanco. I'm telling you, man.
That's nostalgia right there.
That is nostalgia,
for me, like
you didn't get your hair cut there though.
No. What happened in that shop?
They were Zeke
But for me, that was like, and so poverty has always been a thing that scared the life out of me. Right? So I was like, I never want my son. So sometimes when I'm always grinding, it's like, hey, nah. Go out with your wife.
Well, here's the thing, and this might take a whole nother. That hyper independence is a trauma response. Understand that hyper independence is a thing, and you just outlined it. And I'm with you. For me, I'm not trying to go back to the projects to force the kids. So I was used to go hard, but then I realized, man, soak this in.
And appreciate
what you got going on. You know what I'm saying?
Like some of the joys of my life now ain't the money. You make a certain amount of money, you start to realize that it ain't about that.
Me, watering grass, bro. For me,
man, my son's figure out the water spray now, so he be spraying me out there. Damn, why he figured that out? But just having people on the porch, right? The porch has been a huge part of my life. Some of my other best friends I've had, we've been on the porch for 4 or 5 years now.
Come on, man.
Now we go camping to New Hampshire every year.
Come on, man.
It's just been a thing. So those are like the joys of my life now, and that's the winding down piece. This is, man, you work so hard.
Keep doing that, man.
So that's and just reading, man. I cannot
and
understand.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Oh man, man. I'm glad you're doing it now. I just thought, man, I'm on the 4th floor, so I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I didn't know what you meant before about the 4th floor.
Come on, man.
What are you talking about?
When you get to the 4th floor, bro, you know what I'm saying?
What I will say about your earlier question, because my schedule is like jam packed. I got a lot going on, and so what I find the best way to like serve my community and kind of not take everything home with me is just give 100% for each part of my day. So when I'm at work, I understand that I give 100% to my work, and once I am off the clock, I am off the clock because I did everything during the clock that I was supposed to do. When you're constantly thinking constantly nervous, constantly wondering, that is anxiety, right? And what I like to tell a lot of my clients in my practice is that if it is out of your hands, it deserves to be out of your head too. And so that's something that I take with me.
Come on, man.
I'll say y'all around for too long. You know what I'm saying? I'll say y'all around
I
for
tell
too
you all
long.
the time, so I get free therapy.
I like that. Listen, man, that's going right here.
But it's true.
And I have to stop practicing because you can't let things that are out of your control you.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I tell my students that, like, wait, what happened? Why that breakup affecting you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
how you keep your hairline.
Yes.
I still got mine.
So it's just like, so I get that aspect, and I'm just like, and I think going back to what you said, we're in the human service business. You know what I mean? So it's okay to think that way, but then like hearing you guys is different thought process on it, something that I want to embed in my practices and things of that nature. So I just think like, I love the fact that we're at a time now where the mental health is losing that negative stigma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think a lot of individuals are understanding the reason why they can't get to X, Y, and Z is because they're not self-aware and they're not appreciating themselves. They're not getting
I'm going to ask some questions now and do some rapid fire before we close this out. Name one or two things that you believe brought the most awareness to mental health. And every question I ask, I'll also answer on the way back. So,
I think the media and your high profile people actually saying that they're practicing mental health.
I think social media, and then some of our music artists that have been speaking on it lately.
Yeah, I would say definitely social media, and I think I don't know how to, but I feel like it's more normalized as the generations. I don't know where that's coming from, but I guess society now has created a space where those conversations can be had. So socially, we've transitioned or changed the complexion. So yeah.
I think I think Kanye West and COVID. I think those are the two biggest things. COVID was big because
That's a good point.
it isolated a lot of people, struck you away from your normalcy. I mean, shoot, being isolated, not going outside, not seeing the sun, right? Worrying about what's gonna happen tomorrow, like what is COVID gonna get me, or what's gonna happen if I take this shot, or whatever the case may be. Like it was just a bad
It
mix.
made you sit with yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
And then-
find out all about you.
Yeah, right.
And
All
then
about you.
I believe Kanye West because it was he's like a humongous figure, right? But it was such a clear distinction of him before his mom died and him after. Like you would have to be blind not to see the difference in the change in mental health. And I don't think there's been any kind of like polarizing that big. That was so in our face, like something obviously just happened, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's why I think.
That's why I think music artists. I'm like,
Yeah.
because I could think, individuals who self-transitions that was music artists, and even some of our comedians. I could just think of like a Robin Williams. You just think like, wait, why? That guy always presented happy jokes, this, and then when he self-transitioned, it's just like, no, something's up. This is a thing now. So I agree. The times are changing with what we're seeing on social media and things of that nature. But that's a great one.
For the parents out there, right, who they might be new themselves to expressing themselves how they feel, or just the area, the arena of mental health, what tips / advice can you give the parents out there to nurture and cater to their children's mental health?
You can't teach what you don't know. So often I'll say, parents, if you have your kids in school and you know that's that type of struggle, how can the school support you? I think outreach to the school and just say, hey, here are some things I'm struggling, my kid's struggling, because oftentimes the kid is struggling with something. Chances are that's a thing that's running around the house. It's like your kid catch a cold at daycare, everybody in your house about to get it. So like potentially, hopefully parents can reach out to schools more and say, hey, we're really struggling this way. Oh, my kid, can you support my kid in this way? And then schools that are doing it the right way understand that I also have to include you in the process. So that's one advice I would give to parents, that you don't have to do it alone or just try to keep it in-house. Doesn't make you weak culturally. I know there's a cultural component to this that some people, depending on where you come from, think that, you know, you're weak if you go to therapy, or some people just shoot it down. You don't even have to call it that. Just tell the school, hey, here's what we're struggling with. How can you support us?
Yeah. I say open mind, having an open mind to it. And then don't neglect the signs. You know your child. You see something, you feel something, you notice something's off, don't neglect it. You know what I mean? Especially if you see that pattern on consistency. So I would say have an open mind, and then do not neglect what you're seeing, what your gut is showing you, and then be an open mind to find different resources to help support you or parent, parental advice to help your child out.
I think first give yourself grace. Being a parent is so rewarding but challenging. So give yourself grace that you are doing the best you can, and also find your tribe or community of people who are sharing similar experiences that you can kind of bounce ideas. Because I think there's an element of perceived isolation, that you're the only one going through this. And so if you could find somebody who is going through similar experiences, they might have some resources. And that's kind of, it's like two-part. Understand that like asking for help is strength based. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of lack or what have you. Because of that cultural component, a lot of times the people think that asking for help is not good.
Lastly, working with children myself, and everyone here works with children. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give me when dealing with children with poor mental health?
Man, you first. I think a lot of things starts with love, man. You don't have to tell a kid you love them, but just recognize their humanity and understand that no matter where that child come from, they deserve the best things there are in life. So start with that piece. Start with the love piece. Start with, I'm here for you. Whatever it is that you need me, or however you need me to support you, even if I can't do it, I may be able to point you to the right direction. Include the young person or the family in that process. I don't like those people who have the savior mentality. I'm here to save you. No. Oftentimes people have to answer themselves. I think they just need some guiding and some pointing. But ultimately they need to know that no matter what, you will be there to support them. And support doesn't mean you do it on your own either. It means you find the right people that can help you.
Yeah, the advice I would say that you, when you talk to adolescent clients, is have them understand, trust the process, right? Unfortunately, not one conversation is going to change your chemical makeup, your thought process, but understanding that is a journey. Trust the process, enjoy the process, recognize the process, document the process, whatever they need to do. I always like, one of my favorite follows is, it's weird but not weird, but people who are obese and then seeing them 6 months later during their weight training process of losing weight. I'm like, that's a process. That wasn't easy. That was a grind. That took 6 to 8 months, sometimes 2 years, to get for their desired goal. So in those conversations with those adolescents of like, no, we're going to have multiple conversations. I'm going to give you steps to lead that. Unfortunately, this one conversation is not going to change that. So trust, enjoy the process.
I would say be strength based in your approach. Operate from a place of love. Like you said it, and not love in a like romanticized way, but just more or less like make that young person feel like they are not alone in that process. You know what I mean? I think they've had so many experiences where there's isolation and abandonment, and they actually have evidence and proof as to why they are the way they are. And so the consistency in love in a strength based way is super super important, because it builds that trust, and then and that's foundational for anything else to happen. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll wrap it up with that. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time out your busy schedules to come kick it with me real quick.
Absolutely.
And I wish you guys much success in your own lanes, and the external lanes, the internal lanes, and I hope you guys keep striving.
Guys,
Man, thank you.
Absolutely.
It's so good to see you guys. It's been a minute since I've seen y'all. My God.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this conversation. More conversations like this needs to be had. And like I said, as long as it's starting here and it just picks up, like I said, I think this just goes a long way of what we're trying to do, especially in our community, especially with our culture. So appreciate having us.
Just continue to clap for each other, man. That's the biggest thing I'll say in terms of supporting each other. Continue to just clap for each other.
For sure.
All right, man. Y'all stay smooth out there.